Just about anyone these days can engine swap a car. Attempt 3.5. We clearance the socket. But very few can piss off an entire community while proving that something awesome is possible. My name is Tom Gorelick, and I'm the video producer for the Drive series Charisma. And for the last year and a half, I've been traveling the country telling people's incredible stories of the cars that they've built. So I thought it was my turn to tell my story after the engine in this year-old Porsche 944 decided to fail on me. Let's talk objectively for a moment. Engine swaps are a huge part of the future of car enthusiasm because let's be real, new cars suck.
Here are 10 things I hate.
I think it broke again.
This brake pedal moves while I'm driving. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Where the next generation of car enthusiasts is going to find excitement is discovering completely new things to do with old cars to transform them. But even that's getting hard to do. Everything's been done and everything is expensive, right? Not this. In my case, Porsche is the problem and the promise here. It's an 80s rear-wheel drive coupe. They made a ton of them, and one can be had for well under $10,000 in an era where used Porsche prices are in the stratosphere, and every single Porsche is looked at as a collectible that must be respected. That's not my vibe though. First introduced in 1982, the Porsche 944 was Porsche's newest version of an entry-level sports car. Came with a 4-cylinder engine producing about 140 horsepower. That, by 2025 standards, is pretty damn slow. It's a Porsche with a perfect chassis, but it's 41 years old and it's tired, which makes it a perfect candidate for what I'm trying to do. When this engine failed on me, I thought of a few options for swaps, but really the one I've always wanted to do is a Honda K-Series swap. And that also just so happens to be one of the more popular swaps going into rear-wheel drive cars these days.
This is a Honda 4-cylinder engine that's capable of handling upwards of 1,000 horsepower.
First debuting in 2001, Honda's K-Series motor continued its legacy of reliability and tunability. They rev high, they're dead reliable, and you can find one at the junkyard for under $1,000. The swap is being put into everything from Nissans to BMWs, even as high as Ferraris. Obviously, these engines were developed for front-wheel drive cars, and this thing here is rear-wheel drive. So that's either going to take a plug-and-play kit or a ton of fab work to make it all work. You know, it's almost like I'm trying to prove that if you combine Germany and Japan, you can actually make something good happen. Also, we recently released a video with a Porsche 996 that had a Honda K24 turbo swap in it, and you guys seem to really love and hate it. So we thought we'd piss off some more Porsche purists with this. So here I was with this broken Porsche 944 and a will and courage to K-swap it. Turns out no one makes a kit for that, except for one person who alleges to make one, but he's thousands of miles away, has no internet presence, and I only found him through a Facebook group. The only proof I've seen of this kit actually working is 2 or 3 videos on Instagram. So what does a brilliant guy like myself do? Well, I reluctantly wired him $5,000. Many months later, the kit arrived. That's a whole other topic, but we'll get there. Now that the kit's here, I figured, why don't I torture myself for your viewing pleasure? Well, if this car doesn't start up after all this time and money spent, I will be pissed. Tune in as I lay on my back with this car and jack stands and try to figure out how this whole swap works. Will it work? I don't know. This is my first time engine swapping something, and I picked probably the hardest chassis to do it in. So this should be pretty entertaining, especially the fact that I don't have any help with this, and I started the swap in February in New Jersey. I'm Tom, this is my K244 project. Jumping straight into this engine swap, the first order of operations for me was to disconnect the negative terminal, which I did not do, unfortunately. But it's a good rule of thumb because you don't want sparks flying and hitting your exposed fuel lines and igniting your project long before it started. Next up is to remove all the water lines, all the vacuum lines, get your fuel lines out of the way. And of course, we're removing the stock engine harness because obviously this stock motor is not going back in. So the time has come, the engine is just about to come out. K-swap, they said. For the most part, things were going smooth, but I just could not disconnect the transaxle from the engine. No, that's not good. So what's really not great is that, as you see, the motor has tugged now at the hood latch. We're gonna hope that that's not gonna be the end for that hood latch. Oh boy, less than ideal. But with a little MacGyvering and ingenuity, the engine was finally starting to come out. And that's how a baby is made. Victorioso! I did it. Oh, there's oil spilling all over. Look at all of that pouring out. I totally thought I was in the clear, But then I realized the slave cylinder was still connected with 2 bolts. I was 2 bolts away from removing this motor when this happened. That bolt just broke off. Next up, I had to park the motor to the side and begin cleaning up the engine bay of my Porsche 944. After all, it is 41 years old, which means there's 41 years of soot and grime lining the entirety of the engine bay. I got out my degreaser and my microfibers and began cleaning up.
This stuff smells good too. Citrus.
Folks, if you're doing an engine swap, make sure to park your new motor in a clean engine bay.
Like, tell me this master cylinder doesn't look 10 times better now that I've cleaned it up a little bit.
Next up was to remove the steering rack, as I'll need as much space as possible. The last thing I really need to do here is undo this power steering hose because I'm just not gonna run it. There we go. Look at that angle. The next order of business was to get the new K motor onto an engine stand and begin to take off all the accessories that I won't be reusing. It's a good rule of thumb to take about 1 million photos of any and all angles of where things go on the engine so that when you're putting things back together, you'll know exactly which sensor goes where and how to route all your vacuum lines. So this front engine mount can get taken off. I won't be using it. The mounting points will be somewhere here and down here. That's off. Also, just a note, I got this exhaust manifold off of Marketplace. I'm gonna hope it works. I'm also gonna have to adapt this T3 flange to a V-band flange because that's what my Precision Turbo has, is a 2.5-inch V-band. As much as I would have loved to continue wrenching, the day was still quite short as it was middle of February, so I wrapped it up after taking off the intake manifold. Make sure to tune into the next episode as I begin to accessorize my new K-Series motor with all the goodies necessary to be able to install it into my Porsche 944. See you on the next one.